Good morning. Good morning, all. The UK and NATO nations meet today to ramp up our response to Russia's aggression. Putin's incursions into NATO territory are reckless, dangerous, and totally unacceptable. Deliberate or not, Putin is watching what we do. And Putin should be in no doubt. If NATO is threatened, we will act. And we must meet his escalation with our strength. And so today we are stepping up together. And I can announce the UK will extend our commitment to NATO's Eastern Sentry mission, which means British jets will continue to fly over Poland until the end of the year. And we are also ramping up our drone production for Ukraine, delivering over 100,000 drones this year, and jointly building new, improved interceptor drones with Ukraine. Putin seeks to test, to divide, to distract. NATO nations step up to deter, to unite, stronger together than ever. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is David McGuinty. I'm Canada's Minister of National Defence. It's an honour to be back here at the gathering of ministers under the rubric of NATO. Canada remains firmly committed to NATO. The Prime Minister made an announcement some time ago to indicate Canada's commitment to the 2% target, a target we will meet 5 full years ahead of schedule, as we rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in Canada's Canadian Armed Forces. We're investing in our people, we're investing in our bases, we're investing in our equipment. But I want to also make it very clear, Canada is fully committed to the alliance. Canada is fully committed to Ukraine. And I'm looking forward to today's discussions. I think they will be productive at an important moment. It's a turning moment in that region, a turning moment for other parts of the world. Canada is no longer protected by its geography. Canada has a special responsibility, in particular with respect to the Arctic, something that we are addressing as we speak, making significant investments in our people and our infrastructure and our sovereignty there. So it's an important day today for us to gather again and take stock and address some of the important issues. Thank you very much for having me. Are there any questions?
Yes. Ukraine.
I'm looking forward to hearing what the United States has to say about further provision of equipment and sustainment of equipment in Ukraine. Canada was pleased to purchase one of the $500 million packages under the Pearl Initiative to provide the equipment that Ukraine obviously and desperately needs. So we'll see what the Americans have to say about that today.
The Pearl is to make a difference for Ukraine. Can you explain?
Again?
How will this Pearl Initiative make a difference for Ukraine?
It's a coherent approach to equipment that's required and available immediately, a list which is devised by the Ukrainians in conjunction with the Americans. It's a list of material which is available now. It's an important moment, so we believe one of the first 3 or 4 countries to commit and to invest this way. We believe this will have an immediate impact. That equipment is already beginning to flow.
But the initiative is not picking up at the speed that the Americans had hoped. So how do you want to convince your European counterparts today to also invest more and purchase more through Pearl?
We'll talk about that. I'm sure the presentation by Ukrainian military and other officials will help all of us better understand what the real situation is on the ground.
Sure.
How can it be a coherent plan if military aid to Ukraine has fallen over 40% in the past 2 months compared to the first 6 months of this year?
It'll be coherent because it'll be a coherent discussion about what the needs are. Let's hear. Let's see what our members have to say.
What does coherent mean?
Coherent means timely. It means the provision of the appropriate equipment. It means that it is provided in conjunction with each other. It is coordinated. It is directed at the right place, the right time, the right amount of material, the right material. Those are the conversations we'll have more today. Thank you very much. Merci.
Good morning, everyone. Today is a very important day for our collective defense and security. Of course, we are going to talk about the Russian aggression and about the risks that Russia is taking increasingly, and also the way in which the Russian threat is coming more and more on NATO territory. I was very proud that our Dutch F-35s were able to take out some Shahed drones in Poland, but of course we also need to learn from this. F-35s are not the most efficient way to take out drones, and we should find much more effective ways in order to do that. I was in Odessa myself this weekend. I was at one of the command centers for counter-UAS operations, and I've seen how innovative and efficient Ukraine is doing this, and I think this is a shining example that we should learn from. One other thing that we learned from our F-35 deployments is the issues around regulation, which SACEUR has also identified more broadly speaking. And the term patchwork is used a lot, but that's also something that we ourselves experience with our different missions at the eastern flank. Now with the F-35s and later this year with integrated air and missile defense. So I think it is very important that we work on those regulations and make them more united. Second, our support to Ukraine, more important than ever. We see almost on a daily basis heavy air attacks on the energy infrastructure in Ukraine. Ukrainians told me last weekend that the upcoming winter is going to be the heaviest one so far. And I think we need to make sure that we keep a continuous flow of support to Ukraine. The Netherlands is doing more than ever. A few days ago, I announced 200 million in counter-UAS support. Today, I announced another 90 million support package for drones, both ISR drones and attack drones, because we do see that Ukraine, the industry of Ukraine, still has the capacity to produce more, and that's why we invest another 90 million in order to do that. I think what's as important is that we change the underlying dynamic, because Putin now feels that he gains with every day of continuing the Russian aggression in Ukraine, and we need to make sure that the costs for Putin go up. That means a stable flow and also a long-term commitment to Ukraine when it comes to military support, both bilateral but also by using other means, just like the frozen assets. We should keep supporting Ukraine with deep strike capacities, so the costs for Russia go up. But also we need to make sure that by more sanctions, more economic pressure on Russia, that Putin feels that he can not continue this way, and that we, in the end, together with Ukraine, will prevail. And we need to change this underlying dynamic, and I think we should also discuss this today.
Minister, Netherlands are doing quite a lot in speeding up their defense spending at the moment, but for example, France, Italy and Spain, they're really lagging behind. How do you want to convince your counterparts today to speed it up?
I keep encouraging everyone to step up, also countries that are doing less at this point. And what I always say is the longer we wait, and if we don't act, then the cost will only increase more. So if we don't support Ukraine now, then I know that the number of Ukrainian refugees going to Europe will go up, and then the cost for everyone will go up. If Russia is able to push through, then the threat of Russia towards the rest of Europe will only grow. And then we need to invest more in our defense and deterrence. So I think the best investment in our security, and also the most efficient investment in our security, is to support Ukraine now and not wait until the situation gets worse.
On the Pearl Initiative,
I cannot answer three at the same time.
on the Pearl Initiative, how is this going to help strengthen our own defense if we invest in other equipment from outside of Europe?
Because it allows Ukraine to defend themselves. We, as the Netherlands, were the first country to fund an entire package, an entire Pearl package. And the reason was the only way to get, for example, Patriot missiles to Ukraine quickly is by the American stocks. And the only way to make that available is through the Pearl Initiative. It's the same is true for other types of air defense as well. And if we want to make sure that Ukraine is able to get through this winter, and that also the electricity infrastructure remains intact, then we need to invest in these Pearl packages. And that's why we as the Netherlands were the first to do that, also to encourage others to follow us. It's positive that some countries have done that, but I think more countries should also follow.
Minister, some countries are not doing...
How do you explain the lack of progress with the Pearl program? Are allies reluctant to buy American, for instance, or do you see any other explanations?
I think for every country has its particular reasons for not doing that. I think when you look at what we do as the Netherlands, so we have different priorities based on what Ukraine needs. I mentioned the 200 million package and today the additional 90 million package that we spent on drones. One of the reasons why we do that is that Ukraine needs those drones very urgently, and they tell us that they still have the industrial capacity to scale up. So that's also a very, I think, valuable investment. The same is true with our F-16 support. I was at one of the air bases a few days ago in Ukraine, and they also tell me to keep the F-16s up in the air, they also need to have continuous flow of support. So also for the Netherlands, we do a lot. We are one of the countries that's doing the most. But given all the priorities that we have based on the needs of Ukraine, for us it's also more difficult. It's also difficult to spend more money on top of the 500 million we already did. So countries have different reasons for it, but I encourage everyone also to participate and at least do something. But Ukraine needs those missiles, for example, those air defense missiles right now.
What about
should Trump give
the national caveats Zaker wants to get rid of? Do the Netherlands have to make concessions on that front too? And which allies especially have to make an effort?
I think what you do see now is that regulations are different, or slightly different, and that makes it complicated when things get tough. When the F-35s are up in the air, you need to make sure that for everyone it's very clear what the regulations are, the rule of engagement, and also how then to get to an agreement with the authorities. Actually, that should have been done before the F-35s are up in the air. And we support the efforts by Zaker by making sure that those regulations are harmonized and that we have one set of rules for this.
And one more thing, there was another drone incident with an exercise with Dutch military taking part. Will you bring it up with your Polish colleague today? And could you provide any more details?
I will bring it up in general. Of course, I will discuss this with my Polish colleague. Also, the other drone incidents that happened, I will discuss with my colleagues. But at this point, I don't have any additional information to share.
Should Trump give Tomahawks to Ukraine?
We always said as the Netherlands that we are supporting deep strike operations by Ukraine, that there is no limit or no boundary to this in terms of kilometers, also no limit when it comes to the type of missiles. It's up to the US to decide. But if the United States decides to provide Tomahawk missiles, we will definitely support that.